This is Emmy, my client, and I have never done Emmy's hair before, so I thought it would be really nice to go through a consultation with her and find out what she would like, what she likes about her hair, what she doesn't like about her hair, what happens when she goes to a hairdresser, because this is the first time I've cut her hair, and how she feels about, doing it when she gets home. So Emmy,
Yes.
tell me about your hair. Tell me what you like and what you dislike. How easy is it for you to do? That sort of thing. Okay.
Yes. My hair, as you can see, it's wavy. Like it's not very pretty wave. It's like hard to manage kind of wave, and I don't like that. And things I like is, well, of course, there's so much volume.
Right. It's very, very thick.
Yes. So I don't have to worry about that part. But yeah, because of the volume and wave, it looks always big and dry and hard to manage.
Now, when you say it's hard to manage, okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, it's hard to style. I just need to do many tools to do my hair, like a straight iron or like curl iron.
Okay. So what you would like is you would like a shape put into your hair where you really don't have to do a lot to it. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So what I would like to do is I would like to work with the texture of your hair. And if I look underneath here, okay, if I take a water spray, just spray this, because what this will do is it will show me exactly what kind of curl you have. And you actually have what we call, actually it's a really, really difficult curl, because it's the kind of curl that when you cut into it, it sort of goes in all different directions, okay? So what I want to do is I want to be able to control that curl, all right, but give you a really, really nice shape, all right? Okay, so to start off with, I would like to layer it, all right, because I think by layering it, what we're going to do is we're going to release the curl, okay? So if I leave it one length, then again, you're going to be, having to blow it dry, or it's just going to look really thick all the time, all right? But I'd like to give you a really nice shape, and the shape that I would like to give you is basically, like an A-line shape. And what I mean by an A-line is like taking it shorter or closer here, okay, in the back, okay, and coming down and leaving it longer in the front, okay? The one thing that I don't want to do is I don't want to give you any kind of a fringe here, okay? And the reason why I don't want to do a fringe is because of the way that the hair is growing in the front. So I'm going to swing you around so that we can see exactly what happens here. If we look, okay, this hair is moving really, really strongly over to the right-hand side, the same over here. And if I bring this down to try and give you a fringe, okay, it's just going to get lost. It's just going to move over to the side anyway, okay? So that's going to be the outside shape. So closer in the back and coming down so that it's just about chin length in the front. I don't want to leave it any longer than chin length because I think that's actually going to accentuate the shape of your face. It's going to make your face look a little too long, okay? Then what I want to do is I want to layer your hair through, okay, so that we get rid of all of the bulk here, all right? So that it gives you some volume on the top And then I want to layer this through the sides so that instead of this coming out and being full on the sides, okay, it's closer into the shape of your head, okay? And by layering it this way, you'll be able to just let it air dry, okay? Or if you want to have it smooth, you'll be able to have it smooth also, but with a lot of layers running through. So can you visualize, you know, what I want to do? Okay, all right.
Sounds really nice.
Okay, all right. So what we're going to do is take you back, we'll shampoo you, and then I'm going to section the hair off. So we are going to use 3 different systems to cut Emmy's hair with, okay? We're going to use a 1-length system, then we're going to use a layering over direction system, and on the top just over direction. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put in my outside shape, and I like to get my outside shape in first, okay? So I'm going to put an A-line shape in, all right? And when I do my A-lines, okay, I part the hair into 4 different sections at the back, actually. So the center section is parted into 2 sections, okay? And I start in the back, and my first section is always straight across. Now, I go into much more in depth on my A-line bob in video number 3 from the blueprint. So if you want to find out, or if you want to be more in depth with the way that I cut a 1 length, okay, then that is going to be the video that you need to watch. So right now, okay, I'm just cutting in my baseline, okay, everything is cut to exactly the same length, okay, so this is straight across here, and then when I come over to do the other side in the back, okay, this will be straight across as well. So the partings that I take are always parallel to the line that I'm cutting into the hair. And, you know, when I do my haircuts, I like to apply a lot of tension, because I just feel that the tension gives the hair a very strong shape all the way through. So combing that, you see, so that what I want is I just want that to sit in, all right? That tells me that I've cut the hair to the right length for the texture of the hair that I'm working with, okay? And just to talk a little bit about the texture, okay? You see, this is, if you look at this wave pattern, okay, it's really, really difficult. I mean, it just goes in all sorts of different directions. So the guideline here is the most important part of the haircut. If I don't get this guideline right here, then the layering that I'm going to be putting into the hair is really not going to work. So you've got to look for where that hair bends into the neck. Now, once I've done the center section, then I'm going to come around, okay? And this is where I actually start the angle for the guideline, all right? And I always take my first parting so that it is across the top of the ear. I do not want to start down here because then I've got this gap right here. We can see how even though this was cut straight across, the thing to remember is that, you know, a straight line on a curved surface, okay, is going to give us this curve all the way through. And my parting here is always parallel to the line that I'm going to cut into the hair here. Comb the hair following the root system. Very, very important. I mean, even though I'm going to layer the hair afterwards, to be really honest with you, there is no need to follow the root system in this case. I do it because I just want to keep, you know, in with the system that I have created for cutting my one length, so I don't get lazy. So it's so for me, I just do what I would do if I was going to leave the hair all one length afterwards. So now we can see exactly that line, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. So combing, okay, see how this root system moves over towards the right hand side. Comb that down. Cut right against the skin. The great thing about, you know, starting in the back and making this straight across is that when you come over and you do the side back section, it allows you to maneuver that line so that you can change the line in accordance with the texture of the hair that you're cutting. So for instance, with Emmy's hair, very, very thick, I can leave this as long as I need to. If the hair was very, very fine, then I would have to make this angle a lot shallower so that the texture of the hair holds up the line that I'm going to cut into the hair. So, you know, the problem I find sometimes with starting at the back and starting the A-line with your angles like this is that you're kind of locked into that angle and you've got actually nowhere to go. So this way, okay, we can maneuver this angle into the angle that we want. What I want you to do, Emmy, is I want you to stand up for me, and I want you to come behind the chair, all right, and face the mirror. Put your hands on the chair. Okay. Now, the reason why I have the client standing up is now I'm visual, okay? I can see my line, all right? I'm gonna turn you, Emmy, okay? Like that, okay. And then when I put this line in here on the side, all right, I'm eye level. So I can bring my line as close to the face as I can get it, because this is where it's going to fall. All right? And by standing, it allows me to become eye level, and I can cut my line exactly where it falls. Follows that back all the way through, comes to just underneath the chin, all right? And then we're going to do exactly the same thing on the left-hand side, all right, with the parting, parallel with the line that I'm cutting into the hair. And you know, make sure that each time, I have to make sure that each time I comb, I am following the way that hair is growing, not coming back like this, all right? So comb that forward at the roots and then bring it down to my outside shape. So now we're going to get into the layering. So every time I do layers, the first thing that I do, and it doesn't make any difference, you know, what length I'm going to cut the hair to, whether I'm going to leave it short or whether I'm going to leave it long. The first thing that I do is I do this and I look for the crown, all right? Remember, this is not a cowlick. This is a crown. The only place where you get cowlicks are right here in the front. Like this is a cowlick here, and this would be a cowlick here, where the hair splits, only in the front. Here at the back, excuse me, on the top, this is the crown. This is the balance point of every single haircut that we do. So when I layer, okay, I'm going to look for the crown and then I'm going to section off from the crown to right behind the ear. Now, it's so important. You see this line here, it's not straight. All right, and it's not straight because of the way that the hair grows. Like this hair grows here, and this hair actually grows over towards the left-hand side. So I just don't want to take a section, straight section, and put everything into the back. I have to look at the way this hair is growing. So I'm going to take that, section this off here, and then we will do the same thing on the right-hand side. Okay, looking for, it's basically a natural split is what we're looking for, to come to right behind the ear, like that. So we sectioned that off there. Now, I want to, you know, we want to get rid of this bulk in through here, all right? So I'm going to section off, I'm going to feel for where the occipital bone is. The occipital bone is, yeah, right here, where my finger is right here, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to section this bottom section off at the occipital bone. So I'm going to take a center parting and feel for that bone, and then I'm going to take a parting, okay, straight across. And I'm going to get this out of the way here. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing on this side here. This area through here, I'm going to be cutting with my vertical layering technique, which is the first video on the Nicolas haircutting systems videos, because there's 4 of them. So the vertical layering technique is the one that I use for layering straight hair. So what I want is I want this to sit in. And then when I get up to this area through here, this will be over-directed, but not over-directed into the center. Only I'm going to take my first section in the middle, and then each section will be over-directed to the previous section, not into the middle. Because if I over-direct this hair into the middle, then when it falls over towards the side section, I'm going to have too much hair. There's going to be too much bulk, okay? So I'm going to start off here. You can lift it, okay, and just make sure that you're coming through longer towards the side section. Now, coming through to do this side here, okay, my fingers are going to be pointing downwards. So my fingers are pointing downwards, okay? That way I can follow the shape of the head. And over-direct each section to the previous section. Now, coming into this section here, okay, we're going to take our section, and now, okay, I need to get over here so that I take this here. There's my guideline, okay, and I'm going to come through so that we basically follow the shape of the head, but making it slightly longer as we get up towards the crown area. So I'm going to take this, make sure that I can see my guideline underneath, and subdivide following the roots and over direct to my previous section, not over directing to the middle. So it's kind of like, you know, just think about just combing the hair just straight back. Okay, take the next section. Now this is what's interesting here, is you will see this parting here is going to come around in this position. So, because I have to subdivide here following the roots. So by the time I get up to the crown area, that parting is going to be in that position like that. So you can see that by the time I get up to the roots, by the time I get up to the crown, when I subdivide, I'm still subdividing following the roots. So that is really, really important. And so, you know, what I do, I mean, with every single haircut that I do, okay, every single time I take a section, I comb it so that I can see exactly how my shape is building. I mean, what I don't like to do is I don't like to just go in and cut the entire section and then comb it to see if it works. Because if I've made a mistake somewhere in through here, then I'm going to have to go through the entire section all over again. And you know, the system that I have created allows me to get the shape that I actually want with one cut. So I'm coming through longer as I come up towards the crown. Okay, still over directing that hair back to the previous section. So all of that checks in. So once I've completed one side, I'll take my vent brush, because I want to see exactly how that layering is lying, you see? I mean, that's really, really important, okay? And then let's just see what happens when we just do this. Look. I mean, this is what's going to happen when Emmy doesn't do anything to her hair whatsoever. So, you know, the shape is built right into it. All right, so now we're going to do exactly the same thing on the right-hand side. Okay, now remember, when I do this kind of layering, the fingers from the hairline to the occipital bone here, pointing downwards, and I'm cutting on the underside of my fingers because that allows me to follow the shape of the head. Once I get above the occipital bone, then I turn my fingers over and I'm going to cut on the underside of my fingers. But my parting is going to be the same as it was on the previous side. So I have to make sure that when I subdivide, I'm following the roots, okay? So I subdivide, then I'm going to pick up my section here, look at my guideline, over direct to my previous section, you know, what we're doing is we're molding, basically molding a shape into the hair. So that the hair, when we don't do anything to it at all, is just going to fall into the shape that we're cutting it into. Which, you know, to me, is basically what the client wants. I mean, the client does not want to struggle with a shape, you know, that we've cut into the hair, and then we've you know, used masses of product to, you know, create the texture that we want, all right? And you know, that's just going to make it so much more difficult for the client to do. So what I like to do with all of my haircuts, whether they're short, whether they're long, okay, is to be able to give the client a shape where she really doesn't have to do a lot to it. And to do that, I have to follow, you know, these directions that I'm giving, the sections that I'm using, the finger positions that I'm using. But I think more important, more than anything, okay, it's knowing where to cut the guideline here to give us the correct length for the layering that we're cutting into the hair. Because if this is wrong down here, then this is wrong. This is going to be wrong here. There's just going to be no two ways about it. So if you study the vertical layering video from the Nicolas hair cutting system, it shows you, I show you exactly what you need to see in the hair itself to be able to cut any texture of hair. I mean, that's what's really important. Any texture of hair to the right length. Because you see, watching me do this now, okay, I'm not going over and over and over the haircut to get to the length that I want. This length down here is telling me exactly what length to cut the rest of the hair. And I think, you know, once I've got my guideline in and I follow the technique, then it just makes doing the haircut so much easier. I mean, you know, I mean, this is a really, really difficult curl to cut, and I'm really, really liking what I'm seeing here with the length that I'm cutting it to. So for me, you know, getting the hair to work, that is the most exciting thing for me as a hair cutter. Okay, so that is the back. Now, you know, once again, I'm going to take the vent brush and we can basically see the shape when it's smooth. Okay, so this is now in the top. And this is my side section here. So what we have to do is we have to retain the shape that we have here, but get rid of the bulk in the side section. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a section straight across like this, and I'm going to be lifting the hair up, and I'm going to be using this hair here as my guideline to start my layering in through the side section. The angle that I'm going to cut the hair on the side is going to be determined by the angle that I put into the side section here. So the steeper the angle is here, the steeper the angle is that I'm going to cut. Okay? Now, when I cut, this is not all going to be lifted up to one point. I'm going to be coming down the shape of the head. So I want you to think of like pulling the hair out and moving it towards yourself slightly. Because if I bring all of this hair straight up to the one point, then again, when it falls down, it's going to be too bulky right in the bottom here. So let me show you. I'm going to take a section like this, and that's going to be my angle. And then as I come down, I'm going to be coming down like this and cutting, not over directing it all up to one point and cutting it. All right? So I'm going to take my first section. So I'm going to take my first section straight across. I'm going to use this section here as my guideline. I'm going to lift this hair up, fingers at an angle, okay, to mimic the angle that I've taken here, and cut the bulk out. So all the way through, leaving it as long as possible in the front, okay? Then take the next section. All right, still using the back section as my guideline. Lift it, angle the fingers. But you see, I am not over directing it into the top. I'm actually coming down the side of the head, but at a very, very steep angle. Okay, take the next section. Still using the back section as my guide. And, you know, the client has to be in a position that makes it easy for us as stylists. So the lower I go, the higher she has to be. And straight across, lift it. So what you're seeing is I'm taking less and less hair off as I get down to the bottom. So this is my last section here. Okay, and I'm basically pulling it towards me the idea is so that then, see, we've gotten rid of the bulk. But retained the length. So now this, we just do it so that it's just going to be curly. Then all of that flows in together. But the key, okay, is not over directing it into the center, because, excuse me, not the center, I mean to your first angle here. I do not over direct everything to that point. It's got to come down the shape of the head so that each section is using this back section as a guideline to cut, okay? So now we do exactly the same thing on the right hand side. And you know, one of the rules that I use when I am cutting hair is to always go from my shortest point to my longest point and follow the way that the hair is growing. I mean, those are the two things that I have to remember all the time. So to go with my philosophy of hair cutting, I have to be standing on the same side. So I'm looking for where that hairline changes direction here. I'm taking a parting going back, okay? And section that hair out of the way. Now, my client has to be as low as I can get her. So I'm going to take my next section here, lift this. Here's my guideline. Here's my guideline from the back. Okay, lift that hair up and then cut at a really, really steep angle with lots and lots of tension. I mean, I think, you know, cutting with tension does two things. It gives us a really, really strong shape, and it also makes the client feel like we know what we're doing. Would you say so, Emmy? Right, when you feel somebody who, you know, takes the hair like this and is being very, very definite, as opposed to like being very wishy-washy and, you know, well, I hope it's going to be okay and this, that, and the other. Okay, so, you know, the tension has that twofold. It makes the client feel confident in what we're doing. So she's relaxed. So if my client is relaxed, then I'm definitely relaxed. But if she's all uptight, because, you know, I'm sort of trying to figure it out as I go along, she knows that. She knows instinctively that, you know, I'm hoping and praying that what I'm doing is going to work out. And I don't know, I don't think that's a very good place to be when we're cutting somebody's hair off, especially for the first time, right? So we've retained the shape, the length, and we've got rid of the bulk all the way through. All right, so now we're going to go into the top. So when I do the top, the thing that we have to do is we have to section off the side section, because the top section is not going to connect with the side section. Okay, so we take the side section and place it around the ear. Okay, so you see, look, even with it wet. I mean, if Emmy tucks it behind her ear, she's still going to have that really nice shape happening right here, which is the whole point. And the same on this side here. Okay, I'm going to tuck this right behind the ear, so that shape is really nice and solid. Now, this is going to be my guideline here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking sections, and this is what I think is so important when we're over directing. I've got to take my sections so that my sections are parallel with the root system. I can't just do something like this. Take a section like that, over direct. Take a section like that and over direct. Take a section like that and over direct. Because then I'm not following the root system. So what you're going to see me do is at the crown area, I'm going to take a section like that. And then as I come forward, I'm going to part it following the root system like that. Okay? So that when this is over directed to the crown area, it's going to fall exactly where it needs to fall. If I just take a section straight across and I over direct it to the crown section, then it's not going to fall where it needs to fall, and I'm going to get a line. So that's really important. And you know, to go into it with a lot more depth, okay, I have a video called Over Direction and Disconnection, and I go into it a lot more in depth. So I take that. Now I'm going to look for my crown section here, and I'm going to lift this I have my guide here. I'm going to lift it and cut it at an angle. And then take the next section and all of this is going to be over directed to the crown. Come through this way, because remember I have to follow the root system. So this time I'm going to come through like this and like this and like this all the way through, over direct that to my guideline here. in the back. Has nothing to do with the line that I've just taken. Completely separate. So take this section here and see how my parting is really parallel with the root system. Very, very, very important, because you want that hair to fall back right into the way that it grows from. Okay, all the way through. Just make sure that you get it all the way back to the crown area. Don't go past the crown, because if I go past the crown, then it's going to make that length too short. So this actually is going to overlap the side sections. And this is what's so nice about the system. Oh, well, excuse me. The one that got away. Is that, I'm not having to go over and over and over and over the haircut to create the shape that I want. I mean, it's there. It's not going to go anywhere. So, when that dries by itself, I mean, we've got the wave to do what it needs to do. And I think, now that I put these layers in here, I think, well, how about we just go with that wave in the front there, Emmy. Okay, so that it's kind of out of your eyes, right? See, this is what's so nice. You can change it. So, like I was saying, I wouldn't give Emmy a fringe that, just comes straight down. Because, I mean, we could, but then we'd have to smash it down, and it would look great when she leaves, and then when she gets to the bus stop, it's just going to do this, okay? So what we need to do is we need to work within the confines of this wave that's happening here. So I've got a whole video on fringes and hairlines, okay, that you can view. So just to go really quickly into it, when I do a fringe, okay, I always take the fringe into a triangular section and get that out of the way here. And then the same thing on this side here. So the idea, what we want to do is we want to get this wave to just gently move over to the side. So I'm going to look, I can see here. See, again, we got to look at what the hair is doing. So, you know, I don't want to bring something into where it shouldn't be. So I think this can go over here. So we've got that there. All right, now I'm going to make sure that we do not pick up any of the side section. So that will be pinned out of the way there, and that's going to be pinned out of the way there. Okay, and we're working with a wave. So when I take my first section when I do a fringe is always parallel to the hair line, okay? It's never parallel to the line that I'm going to cut into the hair. Okay? So I take my fringe section here and then mold that hair up against your middle finger. So what we're doing here is we're looking for where this hair bends back, because you know, and this is something that happens, I've seen a lot of my students do this. They want to get the wave, or they want to get the length so that it's not in the client's eyes. Now you can't do that when you're working with a wave, because if I cut the hair here to get it out of Emmy's eyes, then this length is going to do that. It's going to turn around into a curl. So when she brushes it back like this, it's just going to turn into a curl. So it's really, really important that you cut it at the first bend of the wave, and I can guarantee you, like when we blow this hair dry, okay, that will be off her eyes. It'll automatically go off her eyes, okay? But it has to be cut at the first bend of the wave, and you, with a wave, you're going to hold the hair between your fingers, okay? So that then when you comb it, that just flows in by itself. So the same thing here, okay? This wave here has no relation to the wave on the right-hand side, none whatsoever. It's a completely different wave. So I have to do exactly the same thing. I have to take it, I have molded up against your middle finger like that, so that you can see where the first bend of the wave is, okay? And then we can see that. Yeah, see, that looks like it goes in there. Bring it down, hold it against the skin, and cut, so that when you comb it, that will automatically move back, which is what we want. Now we've controlled that wave there. Fantastic. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to diffuse it, because I love the curl. I mean, the shape is cut right in there. I mean, it's just going to dry like that. So I'm going to use a product. Now, let me talk a little bit about the product, okay? I'm going to use a product called Curvaceous, all right? This is formulated for curly hair. The thing about product is that it must never be used to make the haircut work. So unless this is actually doing what I want it to do by itself, the product not going to make it work, all right? All product should be used just as an accent to the haircut. So the Curvaceous is going to define the curl a little bit and give me some control. And that's all I want it to do. So I'm just going to take that much, okay, emulsify it into my hands, and then run it all the way through the hair so that I get really good, even distribution of the product all the way through. So, Emmy, how does it feel?
Feels light.
Feels light.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I mean, does it feel like this is something you're going to be able to handle and manage? Yes.
If I can just do that.
Put some product in it and let it air dry?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I've just said is really important, because I haven't said to the client, well, how do you like the style? You don't want to go there, because she might say, well, I don't know, Nicolas, I didn't think it was going to work out like this, or something like that. Ask the client how it feels, because if she goes, wow, God, Nicolas, this feels just great, okay, then we're halfway there, right? So that's why I asked you, how does it feel, you know? Okay, so I'm going to blow dry. I'm going to use a diffuser, and then after I've blown dry, then we'll come back and we'll do a review. Okay, so I have finished blow drying, okay? This is no curling irons. This is all Emmy's hair doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So we've got that. I mean, I love the way the wave works in the front here. We've got the length, that A-line, and the stacking at the back. So let's just do a preview here, all right? So the first thing that I did was bring everything down, cut an A-line bobbin. Then looked for the occipital bone, parted off from the occipital bone straight around. The section underneath the occipital bone I cut with vertical layering, but over directing each section to the previous section. Then, to do the rest of the layering, okay, came down, I looked for the crown here, sectioned off from the crown to right behind the ear. Use the back section, use the bottom section here that I had already cut as my guide. Came through so that I came through longer, but only towards the crown. And again, over directing everything to the previous section. Do not over direct the hair into the center, all right? If you over direct the hair into the center, it's going to give you too much bulk right here. And remember, this section here, right behind the ear, is going to be your guideline for the side section. Coming through into the side section, we look for where the hairline changed direction in the front. Took a section straight back, all right? Using the back and pinned it out of the way. Using the back section as my guideline, take a horizontal section, lift the hair up, cut, using this as your guideline, cut at a very, very steep angle, okay? Well, cut at the angle that corresponds with the length that you want to leave down and through here. So if this was here, you wouldn't be at such a sharp angle, okay? So the longer the hair is here, then the steeper the angle has to be. The key is not to over direct the hair up to your first section, because if we do, it's going to leave too much bulk down in through here. So basically we have to lift the hair up and each section pull it so that it's more or less towards you as opposed, or yeah, you as the stylist, as opposed to over directing it to the first section. Okay, just make sure that even though you are coming around the head, the angle of your fingers is the same as it was with the first section. And do the same thing on the right hand side, and then take the side section, pin it back behind the ear so that this doesn't have anything to do with the top. The top does not connect with the sides, it just looks like it connects. Okay, so then when you come through to do the top, okay, the key is to over direct all of the top to the crown area, but to make sure that you are following the root system with each section when you over direct it back. Okay, when we come in to do the fringe, take the fringe section into a triangular section and cut the wave, okay, at the point where it begins to bend back. And you see it's right out of my client's eyes, okay? And the same on this side here, so that all of that just moves in together, like that. So, that is my over-directed A-line layered bob. I hope you like it, Emmy. Okay, all right. And thank you all for watching. Oh, and one other thing. If you like what you've seen, really appreciate it if you would just subscribe to the channel for us. That would be really great. Okay, and we'll see you the next time.